you're not going to win every single fight. But if you really think of what you're fighting for, we're fighting for good character. We're fighting to produce good humans. And so if you keep that in perspective, we're not really fighting.
Right.
We're developing these little people that we've been entrusted with in the best way that we know how to do it.
Mm-hmm. Welcome to Lead Like a Girl, where we are empowering everyday women through our stories. I'm your host, Jessica Smith, and I began this journey by sharing my life story. Now, I've joined forces with my longtime friends, Jamie and Coralyn, to keep this party going. We met many years ago as young sales girls in our 20s, driven and quickly rising to the top of our industry. As the years went on, life happened, and we all found ourselves in new companies and completely different industries, still striving for success in it all. Career, family, faith, fun. Now, it wasn't easy, but we never stopped moving. Get ready for our real conversations, inspiring stories, and our big life lessons as we share it all. The good, the bad, and the funny. Welcome to Lead Like a Girl.
Welcome back to another episode of Lead Like a Girl. I'm here again with my two friends. This time I'm going to say Jessica and Jamie because I usually say Jamie and Jessica, I think. But Ladies, it's Monday night. How are you tonight? We're kind of burning the midnight oil here. It's a late one.
Yes, but it's Monday. It's Monday. I'm looking forward to a big week.
That's good. Yeah. Big weeks are good. Do you guys, I don't even know if we ever talked about this. Do you guys go to bed early, late? What's your bedtime?
You guys know I go to bed so early.
Right. Jamie's sleeping by 9.
I could be in bed right now.
I know that, but do our listeners know that? I was just making conversation.
This is what's really hard. Brad works third shift. So he goes to work. He starts work at 10 p.m. So like he leaves here at like 9:20 or whatever. And I literally could be in bed by then. Like I want to be in bed by then, but like I have to make myself be alert and like active before he goes to work. And he's always like, I'm like in PJs, like completely like lights off in the house. And he's like, can we not do this? Because I have to go to work now.
I know. It's hard when you're not on the same schedule as your spouse. Mm-hmm. My husband, like I've always kind of worked on shift work, but I've been a night owl, but when we worked at the company, we didn't have to be at work until noon a lot of times. So it was fine. But then once I got a real morning ready job, I'm staying up late with my husband because that's his schedule. But then I have to get up early, which is my schedule. And so I've literally been tired for a decade.
Yeah. But usually, I mean, I don't know, 5-6 hours of sleep is plenty.
Ish. I want like 12.
Don't tell your doctor that. It'll catch up to you.
Yeah. I know.
All right, guys. I'm actually really excited to talk about this topic that we are going to dive into today. Let's be honest. None of us like fighting with our kids, but it's inevitable. Like we always have an argument happening. Not always, but it happens pretty frequently. But I think some fights, they are worth having because they're not really fights. They're things that build character, they set boundaries, they establish rules. They are the things that we do that we should do as parents that are going to develop our littles into the great humans that we hope that they would. And sometimes we have to say no, and we can't be their best friend. Maybe when they're 30 you can, but when they're littles, like that's not the goal. But no, the interesting thing was, so
we'll use it.
I was scrolling through TikTok the one time I do a year, and and I happened to stumble across this video, and and I'm not kidding, there were 3 dudes talking on a podcast, and they were talking about the necessary conversations and the fights, quote unquote, that you have to have with your kids and be totally okay with it. So I want to give him credit. I don't have a credit, but this is not my original material, but I do think it's important to talk about it. And even from a mom's perspective, but 2, like if you haven't heard this, it's a good reinforcement to talk about, like if you're butting heads with your kids in these ways, it's okay. It's good. And that means that you're a parent and you care. Before we dive into this, I want to do a little 1-minute fast. And I want to ask you guys, what is the dumbest fight you've had with your child that you can think of? Like, what is something that you fought over with your child that was just so unbelievably dumb? Like, I can't even believe we're having this conversation. I will start off while you're thinking. I remember I was making dinner and I had made a dessert, and I can't even remember what it was. I think it was like maybe like a strawberry shortcake type of a thing, but it just looked like it looked different. I don't know if I've never made it before, but I cut a piece for Grayson, put it in front of him, and he looked at me and he's like, I'm not eating that. And I look at him, I'm like, honey, this is everything that you like. It's cake, it's whipped cream, it's strawberries. Like it is everything good, but it just looked like a pile of mush or whatever it did. And he's like, I don't want to eat that. And he sat and looked at it, and I was getting mad at him for not trying it. And then I looked at him, I'm like, why am I arguing over this for this kid to eat dessert? Like, I don't care if you eat this or not. I really don't. I really shouldn't care. But I do. If you ever had that, and like I don't know why I'm arguing about this. Like, if you don't want to eat it, that's fine. It's just more for me. It's totally fine.
I don't know if this is like this wasn't necessarily a fight with my kid, but it was a very awkward and hard situation. I was the Veronica and Delenn's volleyball coach. And it was like, they were like in 6th grade. So I had like, 15 6th grade girls that I was coaching. And I was spiking the ball at them and they were returning it. Well, I spiked the ball at Veronica and I hit her right square in the face, and I hit and knocked her glasses off. And she was, but like, I was like the coach. So, I mean, I was like, you know what? Like, I was just horrified with myself, but I was like, this is going to happen in the game. Like, you're going to get hit with the ball. It's going to happen. And all those girls were
faster.
The girls they were all so mad at me. And so anyway, fast forward a few minutes, the girls are going through the line. It's Veronica's turn again. She's in front of me. I spiked the ball. I hit her again in the face again. So it wasn't.
You did it on purpose.
No, I did not do it on purpose. I just felt horrible.
But I got you.
But it was, so we weren't necessarily in a fight, but can I be her mom right now and hug her and tell her I'm so sorry about that? Or do I need to be her coach and like tell her, all right, you got to toughen up because you're going to get hit with the ball sometimes and whatever, you got to move faster. So yeah, that was bad. That was bad. 2 times, knocked her glasses off both times.
Yeah, I can't, I don't know. I can't think of one, only because I don't, our disciplinary actions are a little different here in the Smith household, Coralyn. So we don't do a lot of debating or arguing.
Well, I remember this wasn't maybe a couple months ago. Didn't you get into a fight with Hayden about a birthday present for Will?
Well, okay. So I see you're using the word fight a little differently. But okay, that's a good one. Like a debate on what we should get him for his birthday. And that was I love that you have this answer. I don't even remember.
I just came up with that out of nowhere too. I wasn't hoping that you would talk about that, but I remember.
Wow. Yeah, you should tell the story.
You don't even have to come up with your own content, Jessica.
This is just going to be the Coralyn show, and I'm just going to ask my own questions and then answer it. It'll be really entertaining. Stay tuned, listeners. It'll be really good.
The real story. Anyway, let's get into it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So today we're going to walk through these fights that we think that are worth having with your kids. And I'm going to throw out the first one right out of the gate. And this is the outside fight. We actually live in an area where there's trees and water and walking and biking. There is not a lack of things to do outside, but I'm constantly having a fight with my son to not even just he has a limited amount of screen time to begin with, but even just the desire that he wants to be on a screen versus go outside is just beyond me. And we were always outside kids. When I got up in the morning, we'd go out on a Saturday, and I didn't come back. I came in maybe to eat lunch, and then we were back out, and my mom had a whistle for us to come in and yell for us. And I'm not kidding you. Like, we were like a Pavlov's dog. Like, my mom yelled, I heard it. It's a whistle. We turn around and come running.
This is the kids in our neighborhood. What it was is the street lights. So when the street lights came on, that's when you knew you better get your butt home. But that's a good point, because that is something that I will literally get to the point where I will take this kid and throw him out the front door and lock the doors. Like, you have to get out there. So I love that you said that. I think that is definitely, and I'm curious, I'd love to hear from our listeners in a message. What do they do? Because these kids only want to stay in front of the screen. And like you said, even to the point where he's already limited, he doesn't have screen time, but he still would rather sit in his room and watch TV or do something rather than go outside and play. And to me, that's just crazy. So I throw him out the door and lock the door.
So this segues into another fight that we have, which is actually the screen time fight. Is that I know friends of mine who have they're really well-rounded parents. They've got well-rounded kids, but I know their kids don't have any limitations on how much screen time that they have, and it blows my mind. So I think that kids do not have the ability to self-regulate. It's with anything. Is like you develop this. It's a muscle memory. You develop your own discipline over time, but until you can figure it out on your own, you have to have somebody that sets the boundary for you, or you're just gonna atrophy. I think the more that we learn about how social media is by design addictive, and if you don't help your children with this addiction, it's going to drive their life.
I think we're in different situations too, because, you guys have younger kids than me. Sophie, my youngest, is
I was gonna ask,
18.
how do you do it? How do you do it with a high school?
Well,
and a high school girl.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I absolutely love to be outside, and so do all my kids. Sophie and we will be outside any chance we can possibly get. So it's a little different. I have a little different scenario there. But when we lived in North Carolina, when my kids were a lot younger, so we're talking like more than 10 years ago, we had no electronic Sundays. We and it's exactly what it sounds like. We were just like, none of us are on phones or computers or TVs or anything on Sundays. Now, granted, there definitely were times on a Sunday evening where we'd like watch a movie or something, but during the morning day, no one had any. We just didn't turn them on. So the kids had to find something to do, and outside was the most fun. I was just telling someone that the other day. I distinctly remember them saying to me, "Can we go dig a pond?" And I'm like, "Yep, here's your shovel. Bye." Like, see you guys, go dig a pond.
See you in 3 weeks.
But they would come up with just oddball stuff like that. I mean, we had a farm, so there's like animals and stuff to play with, or we had woods. There was fun things, but but I think I'm just kind of on the flip side of the outside topic. Sophie and I, 3 hours the other couple weekends ago on a Saturday morning, we just put 2 chairs down by the river and like played in the water.
Yeah. Still, I like the fact that that's something that people can do, like have that no electronic Sundays, or like be intentional about it. But to your point, Core, I think that at least the people that I know, it takes energy to put these rules in place.
Yeah.
It takes energy to manage them, to hold them accountable to the rules. And I think parents are just freaking tired.
Yeah.
But you know what? Yes, I am tired, but I will follow through. Well, here's the other thing too. Hayden knows that when we say there's no devices today, he's not going to just go and get the device, because there's consequences to doing something like that. So he doesn't want that smoke, but it's doing it is work. And I think that's the tough part. So to your point, these are all things that maybe we can even say, not only is it worth the fight, but it's worth the energy. It's worth the hassle. It's worth the work, because it's important.
Absolutely.
Well, and leading by example as well. That means parents are off their electronics too.
Yeah, well, we haven't done that one now, but we're not.
Do what I say, not what I do.
Right?
Exactly. You can adult however you want to adult when you're an adult.
Right.
Okay, moving on. The next fight is the gratitude fight. Teaching our kids to say thank you, and not even just say it to start, but also to generally mean it and have gratitude. And it doesn't come naturally. We are born selfish. You can say sinful people. We want what's best for us, but gratitude. How do you teach your kids gratitude?
Yeah, we struggle with that a lot, because I think, listen, I love my kid and he's a good kid, but he's also like a little spoiled, entitled, selfish little brat sometimes. And I have to really check him so much. So I even thought about you the other day, Coralyn, because I said, you know what? I'm going to call Coralyn and ask her if we want to take these kids on a mission trip. Like, I would love.
Let's do it. I already got one planned.
No, seriously, like, I would love to do that, because I feel like I am constantly having to remind Hayden, you got a little stink face because I'm saying take out the garbage when there's a kid who lives in the garbage, not and wish he had garbage to take out of his house, dude. And when I tell him these stories, he just gets all like, but then the next day he's right back. So yeah, I think that there's got to be constant reminders of, man, you got it good, dude. Like, so yeah.
Yeah, that gratitude, it gives us perspective. Yeah. Yeah, and I think, and like you said too, showing gratitude, that also takes, I mean, all of these, it's all work, right? But it takes us a little bit to say, okay, well, if we're going to be grateful, how can we show them how to be grateful? How could we live in service to other people? And sometimes that's hard or challenging if you didn't grow up in that fashion, or where to go or how to get plugged in. But there are ways. Call me, message me, and I will help you brainstorm. Okay, the next one is the apology fight. Don't let them brush off mistakes. Teach them to make it right. Teach them to say, I'm sorry if it's appropriate. Take ownership when they do something wrong, and not think that if I make a mistake, I'm a bad person. It's just like take ownership and just move on, and being able to say, I'm sorry about that.
I'm glad this was the one that really this was the one I read through that I was like, oh, I can't wait for this one to come up. And I can't remember if it was something that we maybe talked about on a different episode, or if it was a book that I read in one of my book clubs. It might have been the book Try Softer, but it distinctly talked about, as a parent, recognizing when you made a mistake, and as a parent being okay with saying you're sorry to your child. Even though you're the leader of the household, and even though you are supposed to know everything, right? You're supposed to know, you're supposed to not make mistakes. Or you think that you're supposed to be the leader. You're supposed to be the one teaching them how to act, how to be responsible, all these things. But we do make mistakes. And when that happens, showing them and leading them by example by saying, I messed up and I'm sorry. I'm not too big of a person to apologize to my child. I think that showing a little bit of that humility is like vital. It's so important because, you know, it not only does it show a little bit of humility, but it actually shows that you respect your children as well, you know, and in turn, hopefully they respect you. And then they learn what you just said, that everyone does make mistakes, and that if you just own up to it and say that you're sorry and try to make things right, that's a great lesson. That's a great life lesson.
I love that. Mr. Smith is good at that. I'm not so much.
We're all learning. The next one is the effort fight, which I love this one. But when our kids want to quit, when they want to quit sports, schools, friendships, depending on the situation, but we need to push them to keep going. That we don't grow when we're comfortable. We grow working through hard things. I don't know, I read this in some book, but anything that's easy is not worth it. Like things that, like, you really, when it's hard and you actually overcome whatever that hard thing is, that's where the joy, like real joy, lives.
Now that's a good one. I love that one. Perfect example yesterday. So Hayden has these little LED lights that stick on the top of his room that he has on the walls, and we had to replace them. So he's in the room and he's like, Mom, I'm ready to put them up. I'm like, okay, then put them up. And he's like, well, aren't you going to help me? And I'm like, no. And he's like, well, I can't reach up there. And I'm like, well, get a freaking ladder, get a step stool, get something. Well, how am I supposed to do that? Figure it out. So he's just looking at me like, are you serious? And I'm like, you're looking at me like I'm leaving you on the side of the road. And I just walked out the room, and it literally took the kid almost all day because apparently he cut something that cut the actual line off.
Oh no.
And had to start all over and take the whole thing down. And thankfully we had another 200 feet of this stuff. But he finally, and then he comes in there like he just ran a freaking like 10-mile marathon. He's like,
he kind of did if he was working on that all day.
And I said, and guess what? And he came in there and he pressed the button. And he's like, look, and it lit up, but he looked,
He's so proud of himself, I bet.
Oh man.
And he just, but when I left him in there, he looked like, why are you doing this to me? And I'm like, figure it out, dude. You got to figure it out. So,
oh man, I don't know if there's one thing that brings me more joy than to watch your child suffer through things, something that you know that they can handle, and you can almost see the light bulb that goes off when they win, and it's such a fantastic win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's awesome, really cool. All right, the respect fight. You know, the idea that our kids, they don't have to agree with us, but they need to be respectful. I think I'm going to let Jessica, you handle that one. You tell us what you think about that.
That one. Listen,
Boy.
I am all about disciplining your kids, and I won't go on the rant other than Hayden doesn't get his butt whooped, but he knows that we're capable. And to me, that's all. You don't need to do it all the time. They just need to know that you will. And so the same fear in me, yeah, I think it's okay, that said, I respect my mom or dad enough to not go step over that line. And sometimes they do. And I'll give him the look. He knows the look. And the look is, you don't want to try me. And so I think that that's important, because if they know you will, you don't have to go there. That's what I'll say. You are going to respect me. I'm going to demand respect. I have a 31-year-old. He does not cuss in my house. He does not drink in my house. He still says, yes, ma'am. He's 31 years old. You are going to respect me at all times. I don't care how old you are.
You know, I think at my son's age, he's 11, he's starting to get these learned behaviors from school. So there's tone, there's eye rolling that I've seen, and nip that in the bud at point one. Like, we just don't communicate that way. But I also, to add to your point, I think that it's important to teach them how to speak to us as parents, but then also, one of the other things we're working on right now is, even when he introduces himself to somebody in public, somebody who's a peer, that how to give a good handshake and look somebody in the eye. And if somebody says hello, you look at them and you introduce yourself, to develop some of those behaviors too. You know, and it doesn't need to be a drill sergeant, but working on some of those behaviors too, I think, go a long way as a boy specifically, but kids in general, right?
Well, and just manners and politeness, you know what I mean? Like, I think respecting your parents is one thing, but just generally acting respectful in life.
Like,
you know,
I need parents to really think about this, because some of your kids out here are like, I'm looking and I'm saying, where are your parents? Were they too busy to teach you this, or what's happening?
Well, I'm like a manners person. There've been so many instances where we're out to dinner, and the food is coming, and my 3 daughters know you absolutely do not start eating your food until everyone gets their food. That's just like one example. But I cannot tell you how many times I've been on a client lunch, and a colleague of mine or whatever, a client of mine, they don't wash their hands. They don't hold the door open. They eat their food. I mean, I'm just like, what?
Right.
But I just feel like acting respectful to others. Like, we have to, it's not just to your parents. It's like,
manners is a huge
manners
piece of
is
that.
huge.
Have you guys heard, like, other people's kids, and then I'm that person. I'm going to correct your kid. I'm going to let you know that right now. If you got one of those kids out here, I will be the one that corrects your kid. And then they say stuff like, oh, that's old school. What? Manners? Or that's
manners?
Old school? Right. Have you heard that before? People say that that's the old way of doing things.
I've had people say, oh, no, go ahead and eat. And then my girls will look at me and I'm like, no.
Right.
No.
I'll just throw this one out there as we're on this topic. But I was out, and I kid you not, I saw a child who was throwing a fit. We were at Target or something like that, and nobody I knew or whatever. But
they always do
the
that.
child hit the mom in the face, and the child was maybe like 6 or 7. I feel like old enough to know better. It wasn't just like a tantrum. Wow. It was like an intentional. And the mom grabbed the child's hand, was like, oh, honey, we don't do that. And it was just like all I could do to just sit there. And I'm like wanting to grab the mom's hand and be like, oh, honey, that's not what we do.
We don't do that.
We don't do that. I don't know. And like you said, maybe it's old school, but I literally would not tolerate that at all.
And I want to make a point that if, the mothers, like, I should be able to walk through Target in peace if you can't control the way your kid behaves in public, then don't bring them out in public. And if there's no one there to watch, then deliver your Target stuff, please. That's all.
Have Target deliver.
All right, this is kind of ties into this. The next fight is we need to have the no fight. Saying no is hard sometimes, depending, because sometimes I think as a parent we wanna say yes to the thing, but we have to say no to be the better parent. But boundaries, they build security, and kids need to learn what disappointment is.
Mm-hmm.
How hard is it for you guys to say no? Jessica?
It's hard for me to say no. Jessica's it's not hard at all.
Jamie and I have souls. Jessica.
So I'll tell you what really, really, like, and I don't even know what it was, but I said no. And he goes and he asks Will. And I see him at whatever it was. And I'm like, and it was about eating something. And I said, now I'm even more upset because I told you no and you went to your dad. And then Mr. Smith looks at me and says, oh yeah, he told me you said no. And I'm like, now, and usually he doesn't do that. But now Hayden's looking at me, and I'm saying that to say that I gave him grace that day because he usually doesn't do that. And that's Mr. Smith, that is. But I think it's really, really important that parents have to be on the same team. Because that really messes things up, man. It's like what you're trying to do, like you said, I'm trying to teach them that it's no, or they have to understand disappointment sometimes. And it's just, so I would encourage, be on the same page, because kids know how they can play mom and dad. And if you're not on the same page, and most of the time Will's like, your mom probably already told you no, right? That's why you're coming to ask me, because I'm always his first go-to. So I'm like, no. And he's not a kid that will ask 5 times, because he knows I'm in sales. You could tell me you're not going to move me. It's still going to be no when I say so.
Sophie actually said to me one day when I told her no to something, she got like all upset about it. And she's like, Mom, you never say no. So when you said no, I didn't know what to do.
Well,
I know. But truthfully, like it's usually like they just don't, if the answer was going to be no, they just don't do it.
If you're raising generally good kids, the things I find myself saying no to, it comes few and far between, because I think sometimes Grayson just knows my stance on things. And so I think the question sometimes doesn't even come up. Like, we don't even ask that because we've already hurdled that a couple of years ago. So that is just an ongoing no. So don't even, it's not even worth your time to ask.
Yeah.
All right. These next ones I'm going to combine. So one is the discipline fight, and the other one is the work fight. So discipline, follow through on consequences, being a disciplined person, but then also working, that chores aren't just about cleaning house. It's like helping, it's doing things to make your house as a family unit, that parents aren't servants. We're all in this together. Talk to me about the discipline fight and work ethic.
There's a spirit of laziness on these kids, and I don't understand where it's coming from. But we still, again, it's work, and we follow up. And every weekend, I try to keep things on a schedule, because I think that makes it easier with discipline and work if you keep them on a schedule. So there will never be a weekend ever that will pass without Hayden doing laundry. He's going to do it, and he's going to do it right, and he's going to hang his clothes immediately after they come out of the dryer, and like those things. And he still has an attitude when you tell him, and it's like, you need to know, it's not that you have to, it's that you get to. And so, but it's still a challenge. I don't know where the spirit of laziness. And then the last thing we say is, listen, Will and I work very hard. We are hardworking people. And this is what we remind him. Why should we be working as hard as we're working, and you just get to be a little lazy bum? Like that's why do you even want to watch your parents work as hard as we do? So we try to, like Jamie said, we try to lead by example. We try to be hardworking, and then say, and you got to do your part too. But it's irritating. It's frustrating. I don't want to spend my weekend yelling at a kid to do stuff 10 times, but I will.
I think that's right though, Jessica. It's the schedule. It's like, it all goes back to things we've mentioned so many times, setting clear expectations, like, like showing them the right way to do things. I mean, I always had chores. My kids always have had chores. Sophie unfortunately gets the brunt of it. She has to do a lot more than like Veronica and Lynn did, because I had 3 kids at home, so they kind of they could split all the chores up between the 3, and we would every week we'd change. It'd be one week you got dishes and garbage, the next week the other kid has dishes and garbage, then you have bathrooms, then you whatever. With this house, since we moved,
she'll get an ROI on it. Don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
She's like I said, she's like, I don't know what to do when you say no. But we do every week, Thursdays Thursday night house cleaning night. Literally our whole entire house gets cleaned on Thursdays. And I do that so that I don't have to on Fridays and Saturdays, Sunday. Like I want it just to be clean. So every single Thursday, it's just expected. Like we know she does the whole entire lower level, vacuum. We have a kitchen in the lower level. She has to clean the whole kitchen. She has to do her bathroom. She does her own laundry. Like it's the setting up that expectation of, here, you're part of this house too. Like we all have to pitch in,
Right.
But I mean,
unless you're paying part of that mortgage,
right.
Right.
But I mean, when we grew up, I mean, both of you guys had chores, right? I mean, I had to clean the house by myself, the whole entire house, every single Saturday for my entire life. I don't even ever remember. And I couldn't do anything until that house was clean.
I think I've had several conversations. He's like, my friends don't have chores. And I'm like, do you know what? Like, don't, like, yeah. And I'm like, well, they're missing out, because you are going to grow up.
They're missing out, buddy.
As a disciplined person that knows how to do these things, and you don't want to be a person that doesn't know how to operate the wash machine, and you don't want to be a person that doesn't know how to vacuum. Right. And I know, and I like trying to like rationalize. I don't think I need to rationalize it, but so he understands. And the other thing I'll add to that is that I learned this from my sister-in-law, who does therapy and counseling, but if we can instill a sense of an ourness, like it is like we are together, like we are a family unit, we are a team. And I constantly remind Grayson, like, you're a musser, and mussers respect our house, and mussers keep things clean, and we are organized people, and we're smart, and we care about others. And so that this sense of value and of pride, and like, if you're going to wear the musser name, and this is who we are as people, and you should be proud of that and not try to do things halfway. And I think that goes a long way. And just like he does, like, you can see as he's growing older that he just takes initiative, and he gets his chores done and all the things. Again, going back to what you've said, and we've said, like, all these things are work, though. It takes effort on both ends to instill, but also inspect what you expect a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you're going through all that. I love that. I need counseling. Let your sister-in-law know that, because you know what? I say, your friends don't do chores, and get your shit, pack your shit, and tell them to come pick you up. You can go live with them. That's not right.
Tell them to come pick you up.
All right. I got a couple more, but these are actually really, really good ones. You guys are going to love this one. Okay. The boredom fight. We have to let our kids be bored sometimes.
You know what my dad used to do when we said we were bored? Make us freaking read. Like books, like not just regular books, like horrible books, like Hemingway, like crazy stuff.
Horrible classics.
Can we say for the record that Lead Like a Girl does not say that Hemingway is
a horrible book?
Yeah, 6 years old. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
so,
it's heavy.
Never say you're bored in our house growing up, because it would lead you down a path you don't.
I never remember being bored ever, like as a child. Like I don't ever remember saying I was bored. I feel like, gosh, I don't even know. I feel like if the kids said that they were bored, I would just give them a chore. I feel like that would be a punishment.
I mean, that's the reality.
Are you bored?
Like, tell me
Here,
you're bored.
Let me tell you something you can do right now. Here is the
I
dusting
dare
cloth.
you to tell me you're bored.
Yes, exactly. I dare you.
When they don't have screen time, right? And that's what they're doing. Like, I'm bored because of that.
Yeah. But it's that thing is that, I mean, how many times we've talked about this, is that when there's quiet, when there's peace, when there's calmness, when there's no noise, that's when creativity happens. That's when growth happens. That's when we can like expand whatever it is that we're thinking about. And you can't do that when there's constantly. So I think that having planned boredom where there's just like, we're going to hang out today. There's nothing to do. you have to figure out something to do, and that's growth.
I'm gonna write that down. I love that. Plan boredom.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
we're gonna be bored on Saturday, and it's gonna be so fun.
Planned
All
boredom.
right, here's the last one is the awkward talk fight. When we talk to our kids about awkward things, I mean, it can be straight to like the birds and the bees conversation, talk about relationships, fighting, all the things. Why is it in peer pressure, drugs, like all the things that are awkward? Kids don't want to hear about it, but you have to have that fight and that, I mean, fight that those conversations that are, you got to push through it.
I think it was maybe a commercial that I saw one time where I think it was a commercial for talking to your kids about smoking or something like that, where it was suggested that you do that while you're in the car, because you're sitting in the car, you can't get away from each other. So it's like, you have to have that, you know what I mean? Like they can't walk away. You're not doing anything, but you're sitting in the car with them. And we've done so many talks like that. And the other thing is, you're not looking at each other. So it takes a little portion of the awkwardness away, because you're both like, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not looking in each other's faces. So you can say things that might be difficult or awkward and then you take a little portion of that away. You guys, this is like TMI, but I just saw a Facebook post the other day that I posted that said, anytime my daughters get embarrassed about like seeing me naked, I have to remind them that they used to drink milk out of my boobs, which is the cringiest thing ever. But I do.
The more you know.
I know, so bad.
Well, I don't know. Nothing's awkward for me, but Hayden gets awkward, sometimes, if depending on what I am talking about to him. So, but I like the fact sometimes those conversations just happen to happen in the car. And now that you're saying that, I don't know why they happen in the car.
You probably just know. I've got captive audience here.
Yeah. I mean, truly.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
Yeah.
But you have to have them. You don't want someone else telling your kid what all the stuff is, because that's how they get caught up with misinformation. Or it could just be outside. Cora and I had a talk about something recently about, something that's very accepting in the world, but in our house, that's just not acceptable. And we're not moving from it. So if they need to be clear on out there, this is how it is. But as soon as you step through this door, this is our beliefs. And whatever we say in here is how you show up in the world. That's it. I don't care. That's it.
I know I said 12, but I have 2 quick bonus ones that you can just you give me your fast answer. What about the sleep fight? I didn't want to leave this off the table.
Oh, that's not a fight.
What's the sleep?
Putting your kids, the sleep fight. Your kids have to go to bed.
Oh,
do you guys ever fight with your kids about going to bed? I feel like we've had a pretty good bedtime routine with Grayson. Like, we very rarely fight about going to bed.
Yeah. Well, sometimes he's a few minutes late, and I'm like, I'm going to take it back tomorrow. So you go to bed 5 minutes late.
It blows my mind how similar. I mean, there's some differences, but how similar you and I with our parenting. It's just that we totally do that with Grayson too. Well, your bedtime's 9, and if it's 9:05, well, then it's 8:55 tomorrow. It's fine. Like, it's up to you, but you can make that decision. And the last, probably the biggest one in my opinion, is the faith and values conversation, and the fight on that we need to stand firm on. Your faith and your values are what absolutely matter most.
Yeah, that one's again, this is going back to what I just said, and that is, there's just so many things that are so acceptable nowadays out in the world, and we're not moving from it, and that's it. And let me be clear, we love everyone. That's the number one value that we have, is that we love everyone and that we show kindness to everyone, but we are not moving from what our core values and beliefs are. I don't care how acceptable whatever is out there. That's it.
Well, and that goes back to leading by example too, introducing your children to your faith in ways that shows them, it's whether you go to church or whatever it is. I know one with the girls volunteering, for example. Like we just decide at the beginning of usually it's the beginning of the summer, if it's a holiday season or whatever it is, we'll sit down and decide, okay, what are we going to do this year? Are we going to ring the Salvation Army bell? Are we going to, are we going to coach something? What are we going to do? Let's figure it out. Let's decide together. But talking about, your values and what's important. I remember my mom asking me one time, well, why are you doing that? And I'm like, just we're giving back, like, because we should, because you should.
Right.
We feel like you should. So
yeah. And you know what? I have to apologize to Hayden. I'm over here bashing him about his gratitude, but we were driving yesterday and he literally made me stop. And I'm like, Hayden, I am late. And he's like, there's a homeless guy right there. You're just going to drive past him. I said, yes, I drive past homeless people. I can't stop for every one of them. So I literally put him out of the car and just put him out of the car. Again, figure it out. He went in the dollar store. I don't even know what he bought. I should ask him what he bought. But I was too busy. And then the poor kid was walking around the parking lot trying to figure out where I was, what other store was I in. But he stopped in one in the dollar store, got the guy some stuff and brought it out. And so, that was a proud moment that he really,
like, that's really sweet.
You can't just drive past him.
Mm-hmm. That is awesome. Takeaways, ladies. What have you learned from our fighting with our children conversation? What do you want our listeners? What is the absolute most important?
Got to do it. It's hard and it takes time.
Well, just
frustrating, but you got to do it. And listen, they still might freaking grow up to be jerks, but I know I did my part. I did the best I could.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think you kind of said it earlier when you said, you learn from the hard stuff. You don't learn from the easy stuff, right? You grow from the hard stuff. So it's like those awkward conversations and those fights and the fact that we have to be so diligent and we have to be the ones that are also not on our phone, you know what I mean? On the no electronics days and stuff. And it is difficult and we can't stop and we have to have resolve. And it's like, that is how but that's how we create great humans, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I think that you're not going to win every single fight.
No.
But I think but if you really think of what you're fighting for, we're fighting for good character. Jamie, like you said, we're fighting to produce good humans. And so if you keep that in perspective, we're not, to Jessica, to your point, we're not really fighting.
Right.
We're developing these little people that we've been entrusted with in the best way that we know how to do it. Mm-hmm. I hope, listeners, you got something great out of this conversation. I know I sure did. Tell us, what are the fights that you're having with your kids that you absolutely, that you're winning at, or maybe that you need help with? We would love to hear from you. So again, you can see us on all of our social media. We're on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Definitely like, share, and subscribe our podcast so we can grow and do more fantastic things and empower all of you everyday women through all of our stories. Thanks for tuning in today, and we'll see you next week.
All right.
See ya.